What was the word you just used?
Intramurals.
What does that mean?
It's like after school you would choose like fake teams or whatever. Even though it's not really a basketball team, you choose games that would just like play after school, but you won't really be like on a physical team and like have games and stuff.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on taking a gap year away from college?
I think, at least for me, it was definitely a period of my life that I think I needed because I didn't really know a lot about myself as far as something that I wanted to do for my life. I really didn't experience a whole lot of, I don't know, like stuff to really figure out what I really wanted to do. My mom is a physical therapist, so like healthcare was always something that I thought about doing. And then when I was like actually doing healthcare stuff, I found out that I'm really not good in like high stress situations, especially where people's lives are like in my hands. I don't handle that well at all, and I don't make good decisions when that does happen. It's kind of like how we were talking about driving, like when I have to make a left turn and there's like no brake, I'll just like go really fast and like risk my life just so I don't wait there so the people behind me get upset. So
I don't want to make anyone angry, so
Okay.
I'm gonna risk everyone's lives.
So that was one thing that I really needed to think about and kind of find a niche within healthcare, because I'm pretty good at like science and like math and stuff like that. By no means excellent and like really super smart, but I like get the gist of it, so I still wanted to do something around that. So taking time off, I think, really let my brain kind of roam and figure out something that I could do where like my anxiety, again, like I think the big reason I don't make good decisions in situations like that is because of anxiety. Like
Your brain is going so quick.
Yeah.
You don't know what to think about.
Yeah, and I really struggle with that. I always have to be worried about something too. Like if everything is going okay, I have to find something to worry about. Like if something someone said the other day, or like something I did, I'm always like, I hope I didn't offend someone, or I hope I didn't hurt anybody. And that was another thing I really kind of had to learn about myself, to where I could figure out a job that I wouldn't mind doing, but also that could help people, but also like not hurt people if I messed up. And I didn't know that until I took that year off. I also think moving to California, which is what I did for that year with my sister, really helped me too, because I had never been like anywhere else really for a long period of time. I never got to see different things. I never got to really travel that much to different states, and like California is 3,000 miles away. It's like the complete opposite side of the complete opposite side of Michigan, basically.
Yeah.
And that definitely put me out of my comfort zone too. So I think that was another thing that really helped me realize that I do have pretty bad anxiety, and like I don't handle stressful situations well.
But you know that you can do it at least.
Yeah, but I know that I can do it. It's just I didn't really want to live my life. Like I started off in college anyways. I started off pre-med, like wanting to be a doctor. Good heavens. And then I went to pre-PA, which is pre-physician's assistant. Good heavens. And I really just like went down the line of healthcare stuff. But yeah, I guess taking a gap year is really important to kind of spend some time in your own head and not be super busy, you know, with like school and work, and really just focus on who you are as a person. Because I really didn't know a lot about myself anyways before I took that year off, because I was in a lot of situations that I wasn't comfortable with. My sister and I had to find a job because we went out there with like no plans as far as like, where we were going to work. The only thing we knew is that where we were going to live, because we had to sign the lease before we left. That was really scary because my mom had to be a co-signer for it, and she was like, if you guys don't find a job, we're all going to be in trouble kind of situation. So that was stressful. But then Naomi and I, which is my sister, we both got a job at the same place at a hotel, and we were housekeepers, and like we met really amazing people there, and it was nice to like interact with people that had grown up in California or different parts of even the world. Like our manager, she wasn't even from the US originally. She was from the Ukraine, and she like taught us Ukrainian and stuff like that.
Very
which
cool.
I don't really remember that much anymore. But she taught us Ukrainian, and we got to go over to her house and like meet her family and eat their food that they made, and it was so delicious, and it was just really like eye-opening that oftentimes I think I at least get stuck in my own like small headspace. Like the world is like my house street, and the world is like where I live, and I don't really think about that there are millions of other people in the world, and they have all have different stories to tell, and they all have so much to teach you, like if you just want to listen, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I think that was really amazing for me too, because that really just kind of opened my eyes that like everybody has a journey, and everybody has different journeys and different destinations and stuff, and like whatever choice I was gonna make, it was the choice that I was supposed to make, and that's where I was supposed to be, kind of thing. Yeah, that's kind of all like what taking a year off kind of entailed.
Yeah. Where in
But
California were you guys?
we moved to Sacramento. It was originally, I think we were gonna plan on moving to Southern California, but that was definitely really expensive, and Sacramento was like kind of in the middle, so we were like,
Yeah.
oh, that's fine. So we chose there.
And you guys had an apartment?
Mm-hmm.
Whereabouts?
In Sacramento, it was like, I don't want to say, I'm really bad at north, south, east, or west, but
That's
like,
okay. That's okay.
it was in Sacramento, kind of like on a busier street, so it was nice that we could just like walk to Starbucks and like get coffee, and like if we turned left out of our apartment was like the really busy parts, and then if we turned right, it was basically like almost like a suburban area.
And we know that you can't turn left.
Yeah, we know that I can't turn left. Oh, also, yeah, my sister actually did a lot of the driving, which I'm really thankful for, because there was like 7 lanes of traffic there, which is, yeah, that's its own thing.
I can imagine.
Yeah, my whole family knows that I don't like making left turns and, you know, whatnot. So that was really cool, because where we live, I can't really walk like to coffee, at least.
Yeah.
Because we really don't live in like a city.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. And our drive to work wasn't that long either, so that was really nice. But again, she still drove because I'm a weenie when it comes to stuff like that. So
Did you get to enjoy a lot of parts of California then? Like, did you go hiking in the forest?
we went to Lake Tahoe, which is like about an hour to 2 hour drive, and it's like basically all uphill. It's more north in Northern California.
Yeah.
And that was really amazing. We actually went during Christmas time, so like it was snowing there because it doesn't snow in Sacramento. So that was weird for us too, because there was no snow for Christmas and
Yeah.
whatnot. But we drove to Lake Tahoe, and we walked around there and saw literally just like mountains upon mountains, and this beautiful lake, like Lake Tahoe. It was really cool. Oh, the drive from Michigan to
Yes.
California was absolutely incredible. Like, we drove through so many states. We drove through like Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, Indiana, Nevada. Like that, I think also just little ant.
There's always little ants here.
Yeah, so I really just seeing a lot of different places really helped too. So I think, yeah.
You mentioned before that you worked at a dog shelter, and this was on your way to California, right?
I volunteered at a dog shelter before. I've never gotten the chance to work at one, but I did volunteer at Harbor Humane Society here before I left, just to like be able to be around animals and stuff. Because, oh, that was also another thing. Before I decided to do pre-med when I was in high school, I always wanted to be a vet.
Yeah.
But then I didn't really want to do all the schooling, and that was another kind of teetering point for me for being pre-med too. I didn't really want to do all the schooling, so yeah, that's that.
Would you want to talk about everyday anxiety or your personal experience with anxiety?
Yeah, I guess I could probably start with maybe kind of where I really noticed that I really like had anxiety, I guess. That I really noticed it was a part of my life.
Yeah.
I think when I switched high schools and I went to a public school and I didn't know anybody, like all my life I had basically grown up with the same people and I didn't know anybody, I definitely became really self-aware of like the way I looked and how different I looked, I guess, compared to like the girls that were at my high school. And I think that's kind of where it all started, is kind of with like my insecurity with myself and like my body and how I looked. And I think that kind of, I guess, how I really realized that I did have anxiety. It was hard for me to like make friends and stuff, because I always thought like, why would people want to be friends with me, or stuff like that. Just like, I just felt like I didn't have anything really interesting like to say, because the school that I went to, it was private, so like I didn't really get a lot of like experience playing, like I played basketball in high school, but I didn't really get a lot of experience like in other things. So I think that was kind of where it all started, was just, I guess, insecurity with myself, which I still really struggle with a lot today. Like I really don't have a lot of confidence in myself, and I always second guess myself, which is another reason why I was like, I can't do a job where like people are gonna depend on me for people's lives and stuff. So I think sophomore year was definitely kind of like where that all started. And then I think it kind of manifested itself in different ways. Like before I switched schools,
Sorry.
I know you're good. I was pretty outgoing. Like I got voted like class president when my freshman year of high school.
Love that.
And I was, yeah, like I would say I was pretty much friends with everybody. Like everybody kind of knew who I was. Again, it was a small school too, so like obviously it's not a big deal, but like
No, but it
as
means
far
that
as
you
I
made
knew.
an impact on people.
Yeah, at least I thought. And then when I switched schools, I literally didn't know anybody, and the school was really quite large compared to what I was used to. So then I kind of I switched from being okay in social situations and like really enjoying it and being outgoing to like being more of an introvert and shy and not really sharing my opinions on certain things, and yeah, just being a shy person. Like my sister and I, when we first switched, we would just like eat lunch in our lockers like together, because yeah, it was just so different, and I never really had to like meet new people when I was a teenager, because I grew up with like all the same people, so I didn't have to like go through like meeting new people, you know, so that was another thing. So yeah, I think that's where it started, and then I transferred from an extrovert, I guess, kind of, to definitely an introvert, and that's kind of who I am today. I'm really just, my anxiety makes me scared to go to really public places if I only know a few people. I feel emotionally drained after spending a lot of time with a lot of people. We're both in customer service, and I think we're both, you know, pretty introverted, and I think doing that, I think, has kind of helped, but also makes me feel very emotionally drained at the end of the day.
Definitely.
Yeah, I really think the biggest part of it probably was like insecurity with myself. I still think today that like, I don't know like why people want to be really friends with me, or like how I have anything interesting to say, or if I really contribute to friendships, or, you know, like I think that's a big part of my anxiety, is just like not having confidence in myself. But yeah. So
Do you ever remind yourself that you're not those things, though? That you are a wonderful friend?
I really try to, like I really try to, you know, like remind myself that I always do my best to like not hurt anybody's feelings, you know, and always try to be there for people when I can. And yeah, I even like kind of like with jobs and friendships and stuff, I just am never really sure if I'm, you know, like I don't know how to phrase it. Like if I'm like being an imposter almost, like if when I get a job, like am I actually gonna know what I'm doing? Like do I actually know what I'm doing with anything, kind of thing? Yeah, so
Are you familiar with imposter syndrome?
yeah.
Do you feel like you fall under that category?
I definitely fall under that category for sure.
Would you like to talk about your relationship with your sister?
Sure.
Because you guys seem to be very close. You mention her a lot.
We are, yeah. We were definitely really close when we were kids, but I think when we were in private school, like we had our own friends. She's a year younger than me, so she's in a grade below me. We had our own friends. We were still really close, but I think we're definitely closer now, because when we switched schools, me and her were the only people that we really had. Like it was just us, and I think that was really kind of how we transitioned from being really good sisters to also being like each other's best friends. Like there's really nobody in the world that I tell more about my life to, and like someone who I know will love me forever, and no matter who I am. But
That's
yeah.
really special.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
But yeah, she's my best friend and I love her a lot. So yeah, she's amazing. She's really funny. She always knows how to make me laugh.
Yeah.
And I trust her with everything. Like I can literally be my most ugly self when I'm around her. We go running together and she sees me like really for who I am, just sweaty and gross and uncomfortable and struggling to breathe and, you know, all that.
The
But,
best friends
yeah,
do that way.
yeah. So she's amazing. Yeah, she really is my best friend. That's why I think it's also kind of easier for me to be introverted because like we live together. So
Yeah.
like it's like living with your best friend. Like I yeah, I don't know. I feel like I always have a friend no matter where I go because
Yeah.
we live together. So yeah, she's pretty great.
So when you plan on moving out, do you plan on bringing her along with too?
She is, yep, definitely moving with me. We also share a dog together.
Yeah.
So Finn, oh yeah, actually, on our way back from California, moving back to Michigan, we stopped in Kanab, Utah, and we adopted Finn at a humane society there.
That's the thing I was thinking
yeah,
about.
yeah. So we adopted him there. We had like picked him out online and stuff, and little stinker. So yeah, she'll definitely be moving with me too after I graduate.
Wonderful.
She still has some years left in school after I'm done, but she's still gonna move with me, and yeah, she has to help me with Finn, and also I need her with me. So yeah.
What do you want to talk about? The after effects of divorce?
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I didn't even say. So taking a year off stemmed from not knowing who I was and also not what I wanted to do with my life, but also my parents were going through a pretty tough separation,
Yeah.
and all my life I kind of pictured my parents having, you know, a really great and steady marriage, and that marriage is something, you know, that could last forever. And even though I knew that like divorce was real and, you know, parents got separated, I was like, it's never gonna happen to me situation. Since I grew up in a religious school too, not a lot of people got divorced because, you know, in religion, I guess you're not really supposed to get divorced in certain religious circles, I guess. So I didn't really get a lot of experience with that. And then when it happened to us, I was actually pretty lucky because at the time when this all kind of like transpired between my parents, my sister and my little brother were at home, and I was at Grand Valley. I wasn't currently living at home. And kind of when the whole thing blew over, like they called me and told me about it, but like I wasn't there, so I didn't really see, I guess, like the immediate reaction like my parents had, or like the immediate reaction my brother and my sister had. So in that aspect, I think that was a little bit easier for me. They saw my parents, like how sad they were, how sad my dad was, and stuff like that. And then having to kind of separate how, like, I guess how we all grew up is that like, we were all a family and we were all together, but I never really, like, my parents didn't really ever like go out for like a date night or like stuff like that. Like we were just always together. So like picturing them as like their own romantic couple was kind of like a switch that we had to make, that they're like adults and they decided not to be together anymore, and that we needed to separate ourselves from them because we have our own lives and they're their own people and their choices are their own, even though it affected all of us. Without going too much into like their like private kind of details and stuff, I was definitely really angry for a really long time, and I held resentment for a really long time. And I think in certain areas now I still hold a little bit of resentment and a little bit of like repressed anger. I understand that like nobody is perfect, and I think my brother and my sister, I think, are definitely a little bit more better at forgiving. At least my sister is. My brother may be a little bit more like me in that situation. But having to hold like two separate lives, like my dad moved out, and then so we had to go visit him like on the weekends and stuff.
So you were living with your mom?
Yeah, I was living with my mom for a while. And then so I guess, okay, like I said, yeah, when this all transpired, I wasn't living at home.
Yeah.
So when they kind of made that decision, all my stuff, like my leftover stuff that wasn't at the apartment or the house that I was staying at, was at my mom's house. But when I moved back home, it was more just be with my dad. So like I had to pick my stuff up from that house and like the house I was living at in Allendale and move in with my dad. And I was there full time, and my brother and my sister would come switch off kind of. So I was still paying rent for my Allendale house, but I wasn't there because I wanted to be with like my dad and be there for my brother and my sister, and kind of switching from like the child to almost trying to be like the protector for Omi and Noah, to like make sure that things were okay. I think that was a pretty big switch too. And even now, I guess my opinion on like marriage and stuff has definitely changed too. Like, nothing is permanent, and even if something is really great, it could always end, kind of situation. And it's like, if I ever have kids someday, which I don't know if I will, I definitely want to explain to them that like love is very real, and in the moment, like, you could have like the greatest love story, and that really could be all that it's supposed to be. Like, you're supposed to learn from that situation, but it may not be forever, you know, kind of thing. And just enforcing that, like, if I ever get a husband or boyfriend or whatever, that like the love that we share doesn't have any effect on like my children. So like, if something does happen between us, the love that I have for you is never going to change. And like, I would never want to put my kids through that, having to switch houses and try, like, I don't know, like blended family situations and stuff like that. Yeah, it wasn't great. My opinion on love has definitely changed.
Yeah.
So nothing is forever. Nothing is perfect. Parents aren't perfect. I love them both dearly, and the situation has definitely taught me a lot, and for that I'm grateful. But yeah, that was definitely tough. Definitely one of the reasons I think Omi and I were like, maybe it's time to just break free for a little bit and kind of step back. A big regret I think we both have, though, is that we kind of left Noah with them, because he couldn't come with us because he was in high school.
Yeah.
So that was definitely hard for us, but I think it helped both of us trying to separate ourselves from the situation and put ourselves in a different comfort zone, or different anything really. Yeah, it's tough, but
Where does everyone stand now? Like, has your relationship with your brother improved?
yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I think we're definitely, as we've gotten older, it's easier for us to talk about, you know, certain things. And I think also just because he's a guy, I guess guys might be a little bit more like quiet with their emotions and stuff like that. But yeah, I would consider him one of my best friends too, and we talk about his life and my life. And my parents actually, they were, I guess, uncivil for a little while, like not talking to each other, and then they were civil, and now they're actually back together. So that was kind of weird too. Like, I didn't really care if they ever got back together, kind of, in my opinion. I just wanted them to be happy. But since they're together now, I'm glad they're happy. But I made that separation, like I think we all did, that like their life is their life, and it's up to them whatever they want to do with it. But yeah, we're all currently living together, and we're all doing okay right now. Yeah. I hope so. Yeah.
What do you think the future looks like for you?
So I graduate in a year, and I think I want to live at home at least for 6 months after that, like after I find a job, so I could save up for the move out. I definitely want to move out and start my own like life and stuff, probably as soon as possible. And then my sister's coming with me, like I said, and Noah, he is doing his last year at MCC this coming year. And then he's thinking he wants to take a year off, so he might actually move with me as well.
Very cool.
And then my parents will just be them. So yeah, that's the plan so far. If everything goes according to plan, which it may not, but yeah.
Thank you for talking with me, Hannah.
Oh my gosh, of course, Bean. I'm honored. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. Bye-bye.
Bye. And people who kidnapped her find out.
Wait, what is it called?
I think 1,000 Places to Die. Or 1,000 Ways to Die.
Is it about, like, they're like hikers?
Yeah.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. I watched that movie maybe like a few months ago.
That movie was